Hey everybody, Stephen Boyd, the Student Engagement Agent of SB Entertainment and SB Consultant Group. I am so delighted to be able to talk to you all today. Now listen, you're looking at me right now and you notice that I first am in my car, and then number two, I still have my seatbelt on. That's because I pulled over to the side of the road to talk specifically to you because I had something that was so dear to me that I had to share with you, all of you who are passionate about engaging students at a very high level. Now, you all know our mantra at SB Entertainment, SB Consultant Group, that a behaved class is an engaged class, or an engaged class is a behaved class. You also know that we believe that when you increase the engagement, you also increase the achievement. You also know that with us, that when student engagement increases, students' ability to choose misbehavior decreases. Well, part of the training, when we have our full day training, is something I had to share with you because it just kind of fell upon me right now, and I wanted to share with you, is this. When we talk about student motivation, one of the things that's going to provide you an enormous amount of insight is your ability and my ability to identify what we call skill and will. Now, this is borrowed from Hershey and Blanchard's work with respect to working with employees, identifying their skill and will, and then how you respond to that in terms of whether you coach them, you delegate them, you guide them. It's a communication model. Well, we can take that same model and identify high will students and high skill students. High skill students with low skill. And then you have low will and low skill students. So basically it's a box, it's a matrix. High will, high skill, low will and low skill. Well, I like to call those green light, red light, and yellow light students. Well, this is what I mean. When you talk about student ability to learn and student motivation, do we believe that all students have a desire to learn? We believe that when we do our trainings, the answer is yes, but it's based on our ability to identify their skill and their will. So let's take the green light, red light, and yellow light example for a minute. If we take a high will student who also has high skill, this is what I call a green light student. I like to say this is all systems go. All systems go. This is a student that not only has the skill, but they also have the will and the drive to accomplish a task. That is a high degree of student that has a high degree to be motivated. But let's keep the high skill student and talk about low will. This is what I call green light and yellow light students. So this is a student that has the skill, but from time to time they don't have the will. This is what I call sometimes go and sometimes slow. Sometimes go and sometimes go. So let's back up. We have the high will and the high skill students who is all systems go. Then we have the high will, high skill, low will student, that is sometimes go and sometimes slow. Well, let's reverse this matrix. Let's go back to the high skill, high will. Let's reverse it. Sometimes we have a high will student, but low skill. So this is sometimes go, but sometimes no. So that's the red light. This is the red light here in my lower hand. So this is a student that has the will, they have the drive, they have the desire, but somewhere along the line, the competency is not there. Okay? So the skill is not present. Now this is going to lead to student engagement in a minute. And then finally, we have the low will and low skill and low will student. Now, the low will, low skill student is a handful. This is a student that not only doesn't have the ability, but they don't even have the drive to get it done. It is our prayer, and I know it's your prayer, that we would not have a classroom full of low skill and low will students. No teacher wants that. I don't think there's a principal in the world that would even allow a school counselor to populate all those types of students in there. But here is something that you must take away when it comes to engaging your student audience that you must keep forever with you until you leave this earth. All of those students have the ability to misbehave when there's no adequate engagement. And let me tell you something, my friends. You are coming close to HELL on earth when the high will student and the high skill student is disengaged and chooses misbehavior. When the high skill student and the low will student is disengaged and chooses misbehavior. When the high will student and the low skill student becomes disengaged and chooses misbehavior. And then finally, the low skill student and the low will student is disengaged and chooses misbehavior. What's my message? All those students have the propensity that when they are not engaged, will fall into mischievous behavior and absorb and disrupt and rob you and myself of adequate, precious instructional time that we so desperately want and so desperately need. So this is what I want you to know as I get ready to conclude. That you may have those high skill students, high will students that you want in your class so that you can teach a little bit and you can sit down and you can type on your email because they have the propensity and they have the capacity and they can get it done. They may come from the perfect home. They may have the structures in place. They had their medication today. They had breakfast and all those things. But watch those students over the course of time, because over the course of time, and I've seen it myself, high will and high skill students desire just as much engagement and interaction as the low will and the low skill student, or the high skill but the low will student. They all want the same interaction. So my message to all of you, no matter who you are, no matter what your students look like, all students can be equalized, and we can even see a coming together, if you will. We can see things begin to come together very seamlessly when there is adequate engagement among all students. That brings about a sense of equity in the classroom. While junior, who might be the low skill and low will student, may not see the growth that the high will and the high skill student will, he is growing because you and I are intentional about student engagement. There's not a time they come in that class that when they walk in, they see something prepared to engage their mind, body, and spirit. Kinesthetically, tactily, visually, orally, there's something sensory that's going to be very consistent. And when students get used to a consistent student-engaged class where their learning is at the forefront, you bring all students up in terms of an equitable environment, and you see learning happening like never before. So here's my question. We can have the all systems go, high will, high skill. We can have sometimes go and sometimes slow. We can have sometimes go and sometimes no. And we can have sometimes no and sometimes slow. We're going to have them in our classroom. The question becomes, how do we become the great equalizer? The answer, my friend, is through consistent, intentional student engagement. I'm trusting you that as you listen to my message today, that you will be engaging like never before, and that you'll light a fire inside of your students through student engagement like never before. I'm Stephen Boyd, the Student Engagement Agent. Do me a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel, SB Consultant Group. Like this video, follow us on Instagram at Stephen.Boyd1974. Also, you'll view this on Facebook. Like our Facebook page at SB Consultant Group. Like this on SB Entertainment. I want you to like us on Facebook as well. I want to make sure that you're getting the help that you need to increase engagement so you can increase achievement. This is Stephen Boyd, the Student Engagement Agent, signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.